everyone, Tony D and Little Joan here with a hot take. I told you. China is behind a lot of this chaos. Not Trump, not even the Democrats, although technically some of the Democrats because the Chinese are toying with them. But the Chinese are messing with everybody. Leaked files expose mass infiltration of UK firms by Chinese Communist Party, including AstraZeneca, Rolls-Royce, HSBC, and Jaguar Land Rover. Loyal members of Chinese Communist Party were working in British consulates, universities, and for some of the UK's leading companies, the Mail on Sunday can reveal. A leaked database of 1.95 million registered party members. 1.95 million registered Communist Party members reveals how Beijing's malign influence now stretches into almost every corner of British life, including defense firms, banks, and pharmaceutical giants. Some members who swear oath to, quote, guard party secrets, be loyal to the party, work hard, fight for communism throughout their lives, and never betray the party, are understood to have jobs in British consulates. If there are almost 2 million Chinese communists in the UK, a country that is powerful but not the most powerful, how many Chinese communists do you think are in the United States? Oh, you think we have a better vetting process? How'd that vetting process work when the 9/11 hijackers rolled in and just got on planes and took flying lessons to learn how to take off and fly around, but not to land? Not so good. Especially not so good when you have woke-tars in the federal government going, whoa, we can't bother people of color. These guys are in there. They're everywhere. Now, it's not every Chinese person, so don't get your panties in a bunch. Don't make it a racial thing. It's not. But there is a lot of communists roaming around. And they don't hide it. You do a little digging, you'll find them. Oh, you're from China. Like you have a citizenship in China. That's the first clue. If you're a Chinese national, in other words, you're a citizen of China, and you're not a dissident, you haven't fled here looking to defect, well then, you got to be scrutinized. Big time. Big time. And most likely, you're going to have to go home. Because this is pretty crazy. And we've already seen Dianne Feinstein had a chauffeur for 20 years. He was a Chinese agent. Eric Swalwell banging a Chinese agent. And look, not all the agents are going to be Chinese. They're working for China. Most of them will probably be Chinese, but not all of them. Not all of them. Because it's better to use cutouts anyway. Because they never figure out you're from China. They never figure out where you're from. You do some espionage. You make sure your guy does all the dirty work. And then if the trail leads back to him, he meets with an accident. And you take off back to Beijing. Like it didn't. Like, you don't know what happened. That guy's a stranger to me. This is why. This is, forget about George Soros, okay? Forget about him. Yeah, he throws money at left-wing causes. He's a nut, but it's nothing compared to the Chinese. It's nothing. George Soros is just a guy, okay? He's just a guy. In order for him to do things, in order for him to get companies and organizations to move mountains, he has to do a lot of paperwork. he's got to have contracts. He's got to have people he can trust. Can't just go in there. Chinese spies are different. Any spy is different, really. You go into a place, you target people who, unlike George Soros and Antifa and the commies, you don't want to target, the Chinese will target powerful people. They're not going to target the weak. Soros, Antifa, these left-wing groups, they target the weak because they'll just join up and they make excellent cannon fodder. But that's small potatoes. Small potatoes, unless it gets out of control. What the Chinese doing are making sure it gets out of control. They're exacerbating the rift here. That's what they want. They want to make sure we have a civil war. And they're pretty close to making sure of that. So, God forbid if that happens, we have to remember. We have to remember that these guys were ultimately responsible. Because with their money and influence, it's easy for them to infiltrate the media. Imagine you're one of these anchors. Doesn't matter who. But you're vain. You got a TV show. You're trying to get ratings. And someone comes up to you and, I got an exclusive story about a Chinese dissident. And, it's going to be great. We came to you. And you do the guy a favor. You get him ratings. Right? And it's all fake, right? You just have one of your other agents pose as a dissident telling this horrific story about how he was tortured and how he escaped. But it's all fake. But these talking heads, they don't know. They don't check. They don't care. They just go, ooh, ratings. So you got this guy who shows off a scar. Maybe he claims his kidney was removed. He's part of the organ harvesting that's going on in Chinese. But he miraculously escaped. And he's got this incredible story of courage. That is worth something to you. And you dive right in, do the story. And then later, your buddy, and now he's your buddy, you go out to dinner a few times, you keep going out to dinner, or you keep in touch, and over the weeks and months, he becomes like a friend, becomes like a good buddy. Hey, he asks you for a favor. It's a simple favor, maybe just to, I don't know, he's got a business. Maybe you mention it on the air, or maybe his friend's got a business. Whatever. You just get him to do one simple favor for you because you did him a favor. Now you're friends. You get him to do a favor. And that's the way it works. Now he's sort of in that mode. Like, yeah, this guy's a great guy. And by the way, when the Chinese agent goes out with this media guy, he does nothing but praise him and call him a great guy. He laughs at his jokes, pays for his meals. He goes, oh man, you need something fancier than that. Let's not go to that sushi restaurant. Let's go to the big one. I got a table there. They just throw money around. And some people are easily impressed by that. And they take it. And they keep taking it. And then what the Chinese agent is really doing is he's sizing the guy up. He's sizing up his quarry. He's looking for a weakness. What's his weakness? Is his weakness girls? Get him to cheat on his wife. Now you got him. Is his weakness drugs? You get him hooked back on drugs again. Now you got him. Who knows? A lot of these guys have weaknesses. Everybody has a weakness. That was a premise of my Complete Mafia game. It was the dynamic that drove the game. You exploit other characters' weakness in the role-playing game. This is a fact of life. This is what organized criminals do. But the Chinese, they're more than an organized crime syndicate. They're a state government. They have resources way beyond organized criminals. And these guys are military trained. Some of the best organized crime families have fairly disciplined guys, but ultimately they're gangsters. Ultimately, they got their vices, and it's almost impossible to shake them of that because they're ultimately gangsters. They lose their temper. They have to show machismo a lot of times. They're not soldiers. They're close. They're very close. But ultimately, they're gangsters. When push comes to shove, they're gangsters. But when you have a Chinese agent, he's not a gangster. He is a spy. He is military trained. He has backup plans to beat the band. He has support from a team. It's not just him, because they have other people. They have 2 million people just in the UK. These guys have support networks. They need them. They've been here long enough so you can have them. You'll have just a Chinese agent, and their only job is to set up shop somewhere and have a place ready in case somebody shows up bleeding. They're shot. And they got medical supplies, and they've got medical training. Now, they don't do it in their cover. Maybe their cover is whatever. They run a laundromat or something. Some innocuous that nobody's going to look twice at. Maybe they run a Chinese kitchen. Maybe they run a cigar store. Whatever. Just a normal store. No one ever goes in there for anything other than the normal things. But once in a blue moon, someone's shot. Bring them in. They close. They bring them into the back. They have a secret room. They've got the stretcher, the medical supplies ready to go. This is why they're there. F the store. They could care less about the store. The store could be making money hand over fist. They don't care. They'll kick out every customer. They don't care. It's all about the cover and what they're there to do. And in that case, they would be there. We're here to infiltrate. We're here to support the infiltrators. Same thing with supply guys. You got guys who are going to supply weapons. It's really easy in the United States. It's much easier to set up shop in the United States because ultimately in the U.S. it's an open society. So you don't even need an elaborate cover. You just need a little shop, a warehouse, someplace out in the middle of nowhere. No one looks at twice. You need guns? Go to our guy. He's got guns, ammo. That's all he does all day. He just goes to gun shows and makes sure he's ready. He's got burner phones to beat the band. He's got ways of contacting people via the internet. He keeps a very low profile. He's got VPNs to make sure no one can trace where he is. He takes elaborate precautions and stores illegal weapons with no serial numbers in the walls while he has whatever his cover is. This is what these guys do. And they don't even really need the guns all that much. I'm being more spy movie than anything else. What these guys really need is a way in and a way out. Papers, fake driver's license, and things like that. They got guys to do that too. And if push comes to shove, you go to the criminals. You got triads all over the United States. Are they working for the communist government? No, but they would do things for money. And they don't ask questions. And it's pretty easy if you understand Chinese culture. Like, I could pose as, is there such a thing as an American immigrant in another country? I don't know. I guess I could pose as an expat. If I was a spy, I could pose maybe as a Canadian. But a Chinese person, an agent in the United States, he's got to be able to be anybody. And one of the roles he could take on is immigrant. A Chinese immigrant who needs to get out of the States for criminal reasons. He goes to he can't get a hold of his regular guys, he goes to the triads. He's got money to beat the band. It's not a problem. These guys have been playing us. The woman who played Eric Swalwell, she left 5 years ago. She just got on a plane. I mean, she didn't even have to go through all that. Like, oh, this is all tits up. I'm going home. And these guys get jobs. Some of these guys, they're here for years and nothing happens. That's how you keep a good cover. But ultimately, they're communists. They're there to work for China. Look at that. Yeah. Here's some of the companies: AstraZeneca, HSBC. These guys were also involved in laundering money for the cartels. They ought to shut this bank down, in my view. Standard Chartered, I'm not sure what that is. Rolls-Royce. I don't know how the spies work with Rolls-Royce and get somewhere, but I suppose that's access to the rich and maybe the powerful in the UK. Writing in the Mail on Sunday, former Tory party leader Ian Duncan Smith says the investigation proves that members of the Chinese Communist Party are now spread across the globe, with members working for some of the world's most important multinational corporations, academic institutions, and our own diplomatic services. And let me tell you something else. In the UK, they have people who proclaim themselves openly communist. Who do you think they're going to side with? You think they're going to side with their own government when they're actively trying to tear it down? When they actively support Antifa and these groups tearing down statues, tearing down the systems, the institutions, defunding the police? No, they're going to support, the Chinese communists are here. Well, you guys are great. Wow, blah, blah, blah. That's who they're going to side with. A party member who studied at St. Andrews University worked at various consulates in Shanghai, including that of the UK. Chinese academics who swore the oath to assist the party attended British universities where they were involved in potentially sensitive areas of research, including aerospace engineering and chemistry. Of course, there were more than 600 party members across 19 branches working in the British banks, HSBC and Standard Chartered in 2016. Both have drawn criticism for their response to Beijing's crackdown in Hong Kong. The pharmaceutical giants Pfizer and AstraZeneca, both involved in the development of the beer virus vaccines, employed a total of 123 party loyalists. Going to take the vaccine now? Firms with the defense industry includes Airbus, Boeing, Rolls-Royce employed hundreds of party members. Oh, that's why Rolls-Royce. I guess I forgot. They're in the defense industry too. I'm not exactly sure how. I forget. I heard that story a while ago. I guess they make parts, some kind of parts. Security sources believe the initial data leak came from a dissident who targeted an outwardly unremarkable office block in Shanghai, which housed the records. Despite the near certainty of being executed for treason if caught, he or she probably accessed it via a server before downloading it onto a laptop and releasing it on Telegram, where it was found by IPAC. Wow. It's just unbelievable. Last week, John Ratcliffe, the U.S. Director of National Security, warned that China posed the greatest threat to democracy and freedom since the Second World War and was striving to dominate the planet economically, militarily, and technologically. Yeah, I mean, they don't have to invade us. What they want to do is just make sure we're busy fixing this mess. They do all sorts of damage, and while we have to look inward to fix everything, they take back Taiwan, they expand. We suffer, they grow. That's it. Taking us militarily? No, they don't need to do that now. Maybe 100 years from now, 50 years from now, who knows? In total, the list for 2016 reveals 2,909 members working for Costco across 118 branches worldwide. None of the companies above said they banned members of the Chinese Communist Party from being employees. Wait a minute. Costco, a major Chinese shipping firm. Oh, I'm sorry, not Costco. Costco. Cosco. I was going to say. That's crazy. That would have been crazy. Here's a pro-democracy media guy in China being arrested in Hong Kong. They're cracking down on Hong Kong. But see, it's a slow roll. A lot of these people understand now you just don't flip everything over. Everybody resist. You do it slowly, quietly. You pick off people one at a time until finally there's almost no one left, and then you roll in. A former CIA and White House intelligence analyst who specializes in East Asian affairs said, "This is what the Chinese Communist Party is, and you can't trust them. They're always looking for opportunities where they can take advantage of relationships, friendships, whatever, to further the interest of the Communist Party." So, yeah. With hopeless naivety, big business and universities have failed to understand that China is out to destroy our way of life. Yeah, because they don't roll in and say, "Hi, I'm from China. I'm here to destroy your way of life." They say, "Hey, I'm just here to learn. I'm just here to learn from you." That's it. And they wait for their opportunity. In the case of the U.S., they could exacerbate racial tensions. How easy is that now on college campuses? How easy would that be for a Chinese student to wait until, the white, let's say, professor leaves the room and say to a black student, "Yeah, I don't understand why he talked to you that way. He seemed to be talking down to you." Yeah, that kind of stuff. It turns people against each other. When your friend says something like that, you're like, "Yeah," but the guy's not his friend. He's just trying to tear down the university some more, cause more racial strife. And keep in mind, as I've said before, and I'll keep saying, the Chinese are incredibly racist. Very racist. They're so hypocritical on this particular subject. So when they came out supporting Black Lives Matter, it's a tactic. Of course they support the Democratic Party. I mean, they lean left. You could support the Republicans. They'll look at you and like, "Oh no, you're communist. We can't accept money and support from you." Although a few of them have, quietly, but they at least have to hide it. The Democrats, they could say, "Well, I'm just accepting some money from the Asian Business Fellows of America or something." Meanwhile, the CCP sees nothing wrong with rounding up Uyghur Muslims, placing them on trains and carting them to re-education camps where women can be sterilized and the men put to forced work. No one complains about that, unfortunately. I don't see any of you in my comments, present company excluded, of course, the ones who complain bitterly about Donald Trump, the ones who complain bitterly about racism in America. I don't hear them say one word about the racism in China. Not a word. I don't hear them talk about slavery in Libya. No. They are probably more useful idiots. They're internet randos. I mean, they could very well be Chinese spies. I've always said that, there's a picture of Chinese influencers, a whole room of them. Their phones are all on tripods. They're all dressed in pink sweaters, and they're all talking to the camera. It's China trying to influence the internet. They're everywhere. I'm sure they have a room after room of these guys sitting in front of computers all day long. And all they do is spread disinformation and chaos on the internet as different people. See, on the internet, they don't even have to be Chinese. So you're not going to suspect them at all. So what do you think when somebody gets unreasonably angry at you and there's nothing you could do to calm them down? I had a Trump supporter do that. She went off on me and I couldn't figure out why. And then later I thought, well, wait a minute. Maybe she's not a Trump supporter. She was being so unreasonable. Maybe she was a Chinese agent. Now, maybe she was a Democrat just trying to make trouble. Maybe she was just some Antifa idiot trying to make trouble. But it's easy. It's easy to make trouble on the internet. It's easy to get inside one of these threads and just trash it and trash the person doing it to imply that they're racist and just keep going on and on and on, because they're always dummies who get caught up in that emotion, who always assume, what? A racist? Where? It's the mob mentality. That's what they're preying on. It's when Antifa's out on the street, and I got to do an Antifa video today, running around, and they see somebody and they attack them, and then everybody else just goes after them. That's the mob mentality. You just assume that person should be a target. Anyhow, this is the Daily Mail. If you want to read this article, it's pretty long. Initially, I saw the tweet and I thought it said 2 million infiltrating America, but the only one I could find was this Daily Mail article about them infiltrating the UK. But when I tried to go to the link from Twitter, it went to an error page. I had to go to other sites to eventually find this link. So, what am I saying here? I'm saying the Chinese are here, man. They're here, and they're here to screw with us. So, now don't go out and be afraid of every Chinese person. There's plenty of Chinese Americans, and they're wonderful, upstanding people. But there are Chinese agents here, and we have to be wary. And you have to be especially wary on the internet. Don't just immediately react with emotion. All right, I'm going to wrap this up. Before I go, quick reminder, my books, The Pineys, book number 5 is out, and Hollywoke, another novel, also out, available, links in the description, hard books for you to give as Christmas presents. So if you want to read about South Jersey hunters hunting deer, or how woke Hollywood has gone, check out my books. Links in the description. Joan and I will see you on the next one.